Thanks. I got booted and had to come back in.
Okay, thank you. So again, congratulations to all of you on qualifying. Make sure you review all the documents and all the information that is on the dashboard, and that we'll share with you today in preparation for the tournament. And then make sure you share information with your athletes and with your families, especially grandparents or others traveling from out of state and so forth, about what the expectations or what the logistics are for the tournament. Briefly talk about COVID interrupted guidance, expectations, our participation guides, and then logistics for the tournament. So if any participant cannot compete due to COVID, we have to move on with the tournament. It is what it is. But if an athlete has to drop out as an individual, then we can replace that athlete with another golfer if that is the case. Okay, practice rounds. So these should have been put into the Google Doc that was shared with the section managers. We went to that program or that plan this year so that that information would be a lot more clear for our courses. It was typed out and you were in those particular section tee times. And the reason those tee times are the way they are, and they're different by class, is the sections that are closest to the course that they are playing at have their practice round tee times earlier in the day, and then the afternoon tee times are the 4 sections that are further away, and then those rotate down 1 tee time section every year. So that's why those are the way they are. Make sure that if you are not going to make the practice round that you signed up for, that you communicate that with the school, or I'm sorry, with the course, because they need to be able to make arrangements to do other things with that time if they so choose. If you have a tee time for the practice round that you have signed up for and you do not show up for that practice round, the course will bill your school for that practice tee time. So make sure that if you're not going to make it, that you communicate that with the course ahead of time. The pin location sheets will be shared with all participants on the evening of 6/12, so that's Monday. They will not be sent out before that. So look for those via email during the evening of the 12th. Banquet information, we will put that on this presentation, the links with information for those 3 respective banquets on this PowerPoint that we will store on the tournament resources dashboard and for coaches and so forth. So you can review that. Again, this is not a league event. The banquet is not something that the league conducts. This is a coaches association item. So if you have questions, concerns about the banquet, please reach out to your respective coaches reps on the coaches association leadership team, and they can give you more information about the banquet or how they arrive at the locations, or any questions that you might have about the banquet. Day 1 tee sheet, we made some changes to that. I'm going to turn it over to Matt St. Martin to describe the day 1 tee sheet and that process.
Thanks, Jason. This year we had presented to Coaches Advisory back in March a revision to kind of the layout of how we've been traditionally doing the tee sheet in years past. And one of the pieces we tried to address a little bit is going off in threesomes to hopefully positively impact pace of play, which we have heard from all 3 of our courses. And we're well aware for many years that the pace of play continues to be at times glacially slow. So there was positive feedback from Coaches Association when we presented it in March, and the aspect of making this change is something we're excited about. We've, like I said, we started with threesomes, then we build ourselves up into the foursomes, and we've embedded those final 8 individual players, both boys and girls, for all 3 classes amongst the 4s and 3s of the team. So we're excited to see what positive pieces we might see with this, with pace of play, and certainly looking forward to feedback that we get from coaches and coaches advisory as we hopefully continue this model moving forward.
Thank you, Matt. Those day one T sheets are on the dashboard and on the public side and on the MSHSL Golf app. Those are available at this point in time. So you can review those, check those out at your convenience. Those are available there. Next piece, registration, team and individual registration. Reminder, all coaches that plan to coach at the state tournament have to have their coaching education requirements completed. It should be noted that all of those things are supposed to be completed prior to coaches stepping on the course earlier in the spring, but we are not checking them until state tournament time, at least for our tournament anyways. And so that will be checked and reviewed when you check in at each site. They have a list of the coaches that have completed the coaching ed requirements, including the online rules module. And if you're not on that list, you need to be able to show your coach's dashboard indicating completion of the requirements. Otherwise, we cannot give you a wristband to coach. Keep in mind that a head coach certified adult must be on site. They don't necessarily need to be the person providing coaching, but they need to be on site. And then anyone that is providing actual coaching to an athlete during either Tuesday or Wednesday's rounds needs to have those coaching ed requirements completed, and they need to have a wristband in order to do that. And you can change coaches from day one to day two if you have enough coaches on your staff to be able to do that. If that's a choice that you want to make, you can do that. So any coach that has coaching ed requirements completed, affiliated with the school, can go ahead and coach. Reminder on the wristband piece, if it's a team qualifier, you receive 2 wristbands. Again, any 2 coaches can utilize those. And then if you are an individual qualifier, if your school has 1 or 2 individual qualifiers, you get 1 wristband. And if you have 3 or more individual qualifiers, you get 2 wristbands. And again, those can be changed from day 1 to day 2. And we've had that before. We've had it where head coaches can't make it, or the head coach would like the assistant to be able to provide the coaching. That's totally fine, provided you have the coaching ed requirements. You are able to utilize the wristband on Tuesday and or Wednesday. But make sure you check in at each site. You need to check in prior to your first tee time for your respective golfers, and we need to be on time to the tee. Again, with pace of play being a primary concern, we need to make sure that we get going on time. So make sure you check in and verify your coaching ed requirements and receive your wristband, and then we can move forward with the day. Driving range, practice green, we don't have any set schedule on those. We did during COVID, but we do not have a set schedule with those at this particular point in time. But try to be respectful of your fellow competitors and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to use those. There's not an extra cost on those pieces. Going back to the practice round, that cost is borne by the school. On the practice round piece, your actual greens fees for competing in the tournament are covered by the league. So just know that part. But the driving range and the practice green pieces, no fees associated with any of that. But just be respectful of others and allow them to have opportunities to use both of those. The program is not a physical program in any of our sports any longer. It's a complete online program. We are in the process of sending data to our program developers to get that all ready to go and get it up online. If you are a team qualifier, make sure that a picture of your team has been sent to the photo email address that should have been shared with you from the section manager. Make sure you send that photo in to get it in the program. The beauty of the online program is if there is a typo or something like that you do see, you can let us know, and then we can typically get those fixed relatively quickly. The unfortunate part about physical programs is once something was printed, can't change anything, but with these, we can certainly do that. So if you do come across anything that happens to be a typo or something along those lines, you can let us know. But please let your parents, athletes, others know that the program and all of the typical data and information that would be in a printed program is going to be in the online program that's located on our website. Parking for each team qualifier gets one parking spot for their van or similar. Individual qualifiers, we do not have reserved parking, and we do not have reserved parking for individuals or for individual attendees, spectators as well. So if they are having challenges with getting up close or whatever, drive them up, drop them off, and then go ahead and park and make your way towards the course. But parking is reserved for team, and then no one else, and then staff, of course, with that. Food and beverage, the courses have food and beverages available for purchase, all three of them. And the expectation is that we're not bringing in coolers and outside food into those venues. Those courses are expecting that if food or beverage is going to be consumed on their courses, they're assuming that you're going to purchase it from them. If an athlete brings a water bottle and those kinds of things, that's no problem. And there will be water on the course available for the athletes. But keep in mind that when we're talking about lunches or those kinds of things, those need to be purchased on the course. Spectators, please communicate the information about spectator expectations and cart policy with your spectators, grandparents, parents, others. That really helps alleviate any of the angst and the negative interactions that can occur because there's just misconceptions or just the information doesn't get out there about the expectations for these things. So start with spectator expectations. The spectators cannot be in the fairways. They need to be off to the side in the rough, cart path, and so forth. When they are in the fairways, they end up following behind the golfers they're watching, and then the group behind them has to wait to tee off because the spectators are in the fairways. So that will really help us speed up pace of play if spectators are not there. They will be asked by staff or MGA officials to move. If we have to talk to a spectator more than once, that spectator is going to be asked to leave the course. So please communicate this expectation with them. Further, spectators cannot be within 25 yards of golfers. If they're closer than that, then we're assuming that they are giving them advice or coaching. And the only people that can be giving advice or coaching to the athletes is to coaches that are wearing the respective wristbands. So make sure you're communicating that expectation with them. We've also had spectators in the past that feel the need to go into the woods or into bunkers or those kind of things and try to search for golf balls or those kind of things. They need to let the athletes do their thing, and we can't have them get involved in those kind of things. So if you can relay that expectation to them as well, that would be very helpful. Cart policy, this has been in place for many years and has not changed. The only folks that will get a cart at the state tournaments are individuals that have a disability placard, and it's not a piece of paper. It's not an application for one. It's not, I broke my ankle yesterday or I had a heart attack a week ago. We've heard all of those. that's not what it is. It needs to be a disability placard in hand. And then the person who that disability placard is for is the only one that can be in the cart. Because we have had people that will get the cart, rightfully so, but then they have 5 people hanging off the edge of the cart, and we can't have that in any of our courses. So please relay this information. This especially applies to grandparents in particular. They are really disappointed when they find out that they can't get a cart when they don't have a disability placard. And we don't make exceptions. If you don't have one in hand, if it's a piece of paper, if it's a recent injury or whatever it is, we can't grant exceptions. We can only allow carts for those that have a disability placard in hand. So really critical and really helpful if coaches and others can share this information with your spectators, the expectation as it relates to the cart policy. The league's golf app, this is required for all golfers. It was during the section tournament. Golfers or ask your golfers, please log in when you get to the course. If there's any issues, we can get those addressed at that time. We just don't want kids trying to concentrate on, teeing off on that first hole and they're trying to mess around with, forgot their password or those kinds of things. So if you can ask them to log in as soon as they get on the course, that would be very helpful. Please put in scores immediately. You hole out and then you're going to move on to the next tee. Let's be putting the scores in and then we can concentrate on the next hole. We are expecting golfers to use the request a ruling feature within the MSHSL golf app. This really helps with pace of play. We used to have to call MGA officials on the walkie-talkies and get them out to certain holes, and that would take some time, and then take some time to make a ruling, and then all of a sudden it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get a situation resolved. This has really cut down on that time, and all of our MGA officials have the app and are receiving those notifications when an athlete is requesting a ruling. And tell your athletes to not be bashful relative to requesting a ruling. If they're unsure, we'd much rather have the MGA official go out there and have a conversation with them and give them the right information rather than taking a guess or asking a coach or somebody else for advice on rules, only to find out that that wasn't the correct ruling, and then they might suffer a penalty as a result. We don't want to see that at the state tournament. So if they're unsure about a rules situation, request a ruling in the app, and the MGA officials will get out there as soon as possible. With the MGA officials, this goes for all of our folks involved in the tournament. They're there to do the best job that they can. They're the experts that we have brought in to assist with rules, and we need to be respectful to those folks. They're trying to provide the kids a good, fair experience. And you may not agree with the decision that they make. We need to be respectful. And just like any sport that we have at the league, if there's going to be situations where anyone is not respectful to MGA officials, they may receive a warning. But if it is egregious enough, we will eject that person from the venue. And we don't want to go down that path. We'd much rather that we have respectful dialogue with them. They're there to help. But just a reminder that we need to be respectful to the MGA officials. We're thankful that they're there and that they help us. And we appreciate your assistance in that regard. As soon as your athletes finish their round, have them get to the scoring area as soon as possible. I know that they want to give everybody a hug and be happy about the great season that they had, and that's awesome. But we need to get that scoring piece completed as soon as possible, and then they can go ahead and do those kinds of things. So please have them report to the scoring area as soon as they have completed their round. Pace of play. So we've talked about this for a number of years. We've asked coaches to adhere to higher expectations on pace of play during the regular season so that it's not a culture shock when we get to section or state. And I'm going to tell you here right now that pace of play will be strictly enforced. We cannot have 6.5-hour rounds. That is not fun. That is not the expectation. That's not what we want for a state tournament competition. And we need our golfers to pick it up a little bit. We did have 6.5-hour, pushing 7-hour rounds last year, and that's just not acceptable. We need to play faster, and there will be a warning given by an MGA official or one of our staff. And after that, the penalties according to the policy will be enforced. And again, we don't want to do that, but hopefully golfers have been held to that expectation all year long. So this shouldn't be a surprise to them that this is the expectation. You need to keep up with the group in front of you and not worry about behind you. You need to keep up with that group in front. So please remind your athletes of that. Weather delays. If any member of our staff or MGA officials or our folks with St. Cloud State Meteorology, if any of those folks have concerns about weather, we will blow the horn and we will pull the athletes from the course. Our priority in getting folks off the course and evacuated to a safe space is the athletes. That's our number one priority. If we have a chance to get coaches back to the clubhouse, etc., we will do that, but our number one priority is the athletes. And obviously spectators are third on that priority list of trying to get folks back. And if we do have a weather delay, we would ask that athletes and coaches be the only ones that are congregating in the clubhouse. We're going to run out of space pretty quick if we have spectators in those areas. And staff will remind people if that is the case, but just reminder that we would prefer that only athletes and coaches be in the clubhouse areas if we have a weather delay. Our staff will communicate with you on when we plan to return to the course. Keep in mind, this is a 2-day tournament, and if we have weather, it doesn't get extended. So we will play the holes that we can play. And remember, we only count the holes that every athlete has a chance to play. If they have played all the holes, we'll count them all. If they've only played a certain number, then we are likely to only count holes, assuming that all of them have made the turn. So keep that in mind as it relates to weather delays. For any other emergency situation, coaches, if something's occurring on the course emergency wise, please call the clubhouse, or if it's really bad emergency, we would encourage you to call 911 right away as well. But if you have an emergency situation, call that into the clubhouse and they will manage it. Unfortunately, in other sports or other parts of the country, we have had situations where we need to evacuate a venue or go into a lockdown or those kinds of things. If that kind of situation were to occur, we would communicate with you as best as possible on what's happening and when we would plan to return to play if that were to occur. Day 2 tee sheets, the order that we're going in will be exactly the same as day 1. In the past, we used to have teams go off first, followed by individuals, and then flip that for day 2. We will follow the same exact format from day 1 into day 2, and you'll be placed in your positions on day 2 based on how you perform on day 1. So that's how those tee sheets are put together. As it relates to the timing of the release of those, as soon as the round is concluded, our staff goes to work putting those tee sheets together. Again, we do put all golfers from the same school on the same half of the course. So we need to make adjustments there. That means that kids that aren't necessarily ranked in a certain area or at a certain level, they might not be in the foursome or threesome that you expect. And the reason that that is the case is we typically have to move individuals around to make sure that all golfers from the same school are on the same half of the course. So once we do that and get that completed, we will post that on the MSHSL Golf app, and those tee sheets will be posted on the league's website as well. Once we're completed with the tournament, we will do awards for team and for individuals. Head coaches, if you want to assist with placing medals for team, you're more than welcome to do that. However, we will have league board members at all 3 sites that will be assisting with medals and trophies. And they love to do that, and that's why they're there. So they will assist with that. But if you would like to assist with medals for team, you're welcome to do that. Once we're done with the medal ceremony, welcome to take pictures and those kinds of things. For the girls qualifiers, keep in mind that your awards ceremony is going to take place while the boys are out playing. And so just need to be cognizant of that. I'm now going to turn over the meeting to our respective golf course professionals if they have any course specific information that they would like to address. And I'll start with Ian and Pebble Creek if Ian's on the call.
Laura, you'll have
Susie,
to make him a co-host.
Do you know if Ian is on there, Susie?
Let me look. I do not see him.
Okay.
Jay, when I talked to him earlier today when we were studying the tee sheets, he did not think he was going to be able to be available.
Okay. I think the only thing really of note for Pebble Creek that I would mention relates to parking. The alternative parking or the overflow parking area that we've used many years in the past. The city sold that space, and they're currently building some apartments or townhomes or those kinds of things on that space. And so the overflow parking is now further away. The plan is for the course to have shuttles that can bring folks to and from that particular parking area throughout the day on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have Jason Schultz from Ridges on the call.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, take it away, Jace.
Our biggest note for all coaches and spectators, or hopefully the coaches on here will get the notes to the spectators, is the road construction. They chose June 12th as the date to close down 21 that comes directly to the golf course. It's only a 5-minute delay. It's kind of a back road, or if you're coming from the north, get off on Marshall. If you're coming from the south, I'll have a map posted on the website. I'll be emailing it to Jason. Hopefully he can get it out to everybody. I would just say use GPS, use your technology to get here, as opposed to just trusting what you've known in the past. There will be signs posted for the detour. Again, it's only 5 more minutes. So as soon as you get into Jordan, there's 282 is a highway. You might not know it, but you're taking a left there and then a couple more rights. And it is 10 minutes total, but only 5 more minutes to get to the golf course. So I think if everybody knows about it now, coaches, if you can relay that message to the spectators, the grandparents, just say, hey, we're headed to Ridges, and there's some road construction that will give you a detour. So it may have been there before, but don't trust your intuition in getting there. Put it in your GPS, your navigation system. Again, there will be signs up that point you down the detour, but people kind of freak out when they see road closed ahead and then they don't know where to go. So I just hope everybody can know ahead of time, and that's really all I have. Everything else is going to be the same as previous years. So looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jason. Matt, St. Martin, it sounds like Dan is not on for bunker. So anything you want to address for bunker?
Yeah, Danny told me he wouldn't be able to make it with stuff going on at the course. Coaches, just a couple quick nuggets. One, please make sure you pay attention to the local rule sheet that we pushed out. I worked directly with Doug Hoffman and Tim Anderson in drafting that again this year and putting that in play. The question that often arises for us is 9 East. So please just pay attention to how we have that in the local rules. We will have predetermined drop zones to help with pace of play in situations like that. Also, for the team qualifiers, just like I did last year, I have designated team space for you with team signs. Those spots will be girls furthest to the left, boys just to the right of them, just based upon going off in the morning and afternoon swing. And they will be the spots that basically face the 1 East tee box and the 9 North green. So that far edge of the main parking lot will be the team designated space. I will have them labeled clearly with your school name and logo and reserved parking in those spots for you from 1-3A through 8-3A numerically. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys and ladies on Tuesday and Wednesday next week.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, just a reminder, all coaches and athletes, just review all the information in the participation guides and the wristband policies, cart policy, and so forth. Yeah, all the expectations. Make sure to review those and review those with anyone that needs to know that information so that we're all prepared for next week. Okay, Laura, did you want to take this particular page?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Jason, and good afternoon and congratulations everyone on qualifying for the state golf meet. The slide that you see in front of you helps to guide coaches and ADs to resources that the league has provided to you to make your state tournament trip a success. If you start over on the far right side, underneath that state tournament band, that is the spot where our staff, Jason, Susie, and others are putting all of the resources for you. They may hit you in an email with some of these, but know that they're also putting all of these here so that you can find these in one spot. Starting back over on the left-hand side, to get to that spot from your dashboard, coaches and ADs, you'll see a blue box where you click on that button that says sports and activities. That will open up a number of blue bands. Coaches, it opens up a blue band for each sport that you coach. ADs, it opens up a blue band for each sport that your school has. Find that either girls or boys golf band, and then click the plus over on the far right-hand side. That will open up the window that you see over on the right-hand side. And again, under state tournament, that is where all of those resources that Susie, Jason, and others are placing them there for you for your state tournament experience. Again, important for you to find all of that information, know where it is so that you can find that to access things that you need. Moving on, some resources for your spectators as they prepare for their state tournament trip and to follow their golfers. From the public side of the website, without a login, underneath the sports and activities button, you can find either the girls golf or boys golf page. Then on the right side under state tournament, you'll see a bunch of blue buttons. Those blue buttons are all of our state tournament resources. You'll find a schedule there. You'll find a spectator guide. ADs, often you spend some time gathering resources for those in your community who might attend a state tournament event. We hope that spectator guide does that for you and saves you that time of doing that. You'll also find a link to apparel, a streaming link. This is where results will be posted, as well as the online souvenir program that Jason talked about. That list of blue buttons will grow a little bit over the next few days, again, as we continue to add those resources in preparation for next Tuesday's first day of the tournament. Jason, NSPN.TV will be for the first time this year providing a streaming experience for state golf. NSPN Neighborhood Sports Programming Network was formerly known as Prep Spotlight and or School Space Media. They've been the league's partner in streaming for many years. They will this year on day 2 from all 3 sites have a camera stationed near the 18th hole. And so they will be streaming that experience of each golfer coming toward the 18th hole and watching them play that out. They'll also then do the award ceremony and be around for that final golf part. NSPN does have a subscription required. I believe right now that is a $6.99 a month price point. So please, if you have folks who aren't able to attend, this is a great way for them to get a little bit of that golf experience. Additionally, tickets. The state golf meet does not require a ticket for attendance. It is one of the very few state tournaments that does not require that ticket. The other side, that's what many people use, which it could be considered a ticket to golf, is to use the MSHSL Golf app. And from our ticket page, we've actually linked and shared that information about the golf app, because again, to an extent, that is your ticket to the state golf tournament. To purchase that ticket to follow along with live scoring, it's a subscription. You can download that MSHSL Golf app, Apple or Android store, and then subscribe to it. You see over on the right-hand side, those price points for following the state golf tournament. Jason, any other things you'd like to add about iWannamaker and the golf app?
I think the only thing I would add is if folks had a regular season package or subscription or whatnot, the state tournament postseason piece is a separate thing. So they just need to make sure that that they know that for folks that can't make it. But as Laura said, no ticket for in-person attendance, but if you want to follow along with the live scoring as it's going, that through the app, that's the piece that's there. Couple questions before I move on. The green fees for the practice rounds, check that in the participants guide for each site. It's the amount varies by the site, and that's located in those documents on your dashboard. So you should be able to find that amount. Again, the pin sheets are not being shared until the evening of the 12th. So they'll be emailed out to coaches, qualifiers, and so forth at that time. And so we can't send them out earlier. Unfortunately, we've had folks out there marking up the greens as soon as they receive those. And so we cannot do that at this point. We can only send them out the evening of the 12th prior to the tournament. So just an FYI on that piece. Okay. Apparel, Laura mentioned this. We have apparel available through June 20th. It's online sales only. So make sure that your athletes and other spectators know that, but the options that we have are shown on the screen. And we will have posters with QR codes and so forth, URLs for you to find the ordering information for those apparel items at each of the 3 respective sites. Media, just make sure if you have any media folks out there that connect with you about covering the tournaments, they need to apply for the credential with the league, and they can connect with Tim Layton in our office if they have questions about that process. Most of them do other sports as well, so they should understand that process. And each site has a space for those folks to accommodate them as best as possible. So just let those media folks know that they can do that. And then folks that are part of those credentialed media sources that are approved by the league do have the opportunity to receive information from the MSHSL Golf app as well as part of that. So that's all I have from a logistics planning standpoint. Congratulations again to all of you and your athletes. It's a great accomplishment to make the state tournament in any sport. And we're looking forward to a great tournament again. Should be a great field. Again, the tee times are posted on the app and our site. All information you need is in the state qualifiers information. That packet should have been shared with you from your section manager, and it's also on your dashboard as well. So you should be able to find those pieces there. And check in with the site if you're not going to be able to make your practice tee time. And then we look forward to seeing you all at check-in on Tuesday. If you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week or next Tuesday.